He's nervous. He's nervous.
Now
He's
he's
nervous.
stalling.
He's nervous.
Hello and welcome.
Don't. I was just about to launch in. Hello and welcome to... I just got something in my throat, you know. So right. Right. Back again. Hello and welcome to episode 40 of the Scrambled Checksum, a milestone that I never thought we'd reach when we started all those months ago, and a milestone for me personally this week, as I've just moved into a new house with my partner, so hopefully I'll be less echoey going forward, and Ethan will stop pestering me about changing my audio settings to improve the quality. And speaking of Ethan, he joins me once again, back in the saddle for another podcast episode. Ethan, how's it going for you this week?
It's going pretty good. I thought you were going to shame me for the fact that I'm not a homeowner for a second, but
I would never shame anyone for that.
when you say, I thought because you were like once again back in. I thought you were going to say his mum's basement in a tiny cramped room full of piles of shit.
Who the hell do you think I am? Some like 1%er.
You basically are, as far as I'm concerned now. You got a mortgage. It's like you've leveled up, man. You shouldn't be talking to scum like me anymore.
Yeah, you make it sound like I should be like going to a dining club and trashing a place.
You're not doing that?
Soon.
I mean, that's what I do when I try. You know when I get if we get a Christmas bonus from work, I'm like, I want to experience how the other half live. I'm gonna go and throw a cathode ray tube TV out of the top story of a hotel. And...
Just straight off to the tallest travelodge you can find to chuck up.
Yeah. Right, out of a window. Yeah. Preferably with a balcony.
Rip their 20-year-old LCD TV off the wall and chuck it out the window.
No, it has to be a cathode ray tube. I'll bring my own if I have to.
Yeah, but bring your own CRT. And then would you also like leave the LCD on the entire duration of your stay on a fixed screen to burn your face into the screen? I think a ghost.
I think that would be the only way. And I think if I were to do that, I would use some kind of streaming solution that I'd cobbled together, much like I understand you have.
Well, I haven't yet. That's the thing.
Oh.
I'm planning it, and I want to run it past you to see if you think it's stupid and won't work.
Okay. First of all, let's just define this could be interpreted a number of ways. So what are we saying? What are we meaning? Home streaming setup? Are you becoming a Twitch streamer? Or,
oh no, absolutely not.
Or is this for streaming content?
This is for
your viewing
pleasure.
Content.
This is for content for viewing pleasure. So my end goal is that I have various video files that I've taken that are backed up from DVD.
I see.
That I've bought. So these backups, legal backups, which I have expressed.
Linux
ISOs, open source software, various public domain footage, backups of media that I've paid for, various things, and I'd like to be able to watch them from my TV.
Yeah.
And how this used to work is that my PC was connected to the TV, and I could just set it as a source and play the file.
Yep. Easy peasy.
Can't do that anymore because the PC's in a different room. But we'd still like to be able to view some of those Linux ISOs. So
there's nothing I like to do more of an evening than load up a Linux ISO on the TV and just stare at the the desktop.
We'd like to load up the README. We'd like to load up the GPL license from various free software and just spend the evening, reading the READMEs. But
I sometimes like to just look and see what commits
just
Linus Torvald has done recently.
Or which commits he... To be fair, that is actually quite entertaining, because you could look at the ones that he's shut down with brutally... where he's basically just called people idiots. And you can feel like a smug sense of self-superiority, even though you don't quite understand why. You can be like, indeed.
I'm far from ever being even vaguely capable of,
of
contributing
in
anything
any sense
to
any,
Linux.
to any open source project. But you can look at something that he said to someone where he's called them a moron and be like, God, what the hell were they thinking? Of course.
Yeah, of course. God.
How dare they?
Me and Linus know what's up.
Yeah, what do they think he was going to say to that commit? God. So yeah, that's nice entertainment for the evening. So we'd like to be able to still do that. But obviously the PC's in a different room, and even if the PC was in the same room, it means running a whole computer just to basically put video on a TV screen.
Yeah, bit OTT.
Yeah, a bit OTT. Needlessly power hungry just to view some readmes. So like my idea, and do you want me to just kind of go through what my setup is, and then you tell me how stupid it is?
Yeah.
So my idea is that I've got these on a external hard drive at the minute.
Mm-hmm.
These Linux ISOs and such, because you want them on a hard drive in case the internet ever goes down.
Of course, yeah.
So my plan is, and sometimes, how to put this? Sometimes source control software, changes its licensing agreements. So Linux distros you used to be able to look at from this country, go to a different source repository, and then you can't view them anymore from this country.
Yeah.
So you're like, God, I miss being able to see, Nova Launcher's project. And they've shut it down now. So anyway, I'd like to circumvent that also without having to pay for a VPN or break TOS. So the plan is I was going to get a Raspberry Pi.
Okay.
Have that on the network with the external hard drive plugged into it. And the plan was to put Plex on the Raspberry Pi.
Okay.
So that I can download the Plex app on the TV.
Oh, so this is a smart TV then?
Yes, smart TV, Android TV. God knows how old the version is. TVs never get updated. But like, put Plex app on the smart TV. Have the Raspberry Pi running like next to the TV, just hidden away out of sight in like a little one of those Raspberry Pi enclosures you can buy, like a 3D printed one or something. And then basically when we want to watch Linux distros, close one there, just flick on the Raspberry Pi, let it boot, and then open Plex on the TV and then play
Linux
distros from the Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
Would that work? Because you've messed around you've dabbled in Plex, right? You use Plex, right?
Well, I don't. That was going to be my first bit of feedback.
Oh, what was it? You use something, right?
Plex isn't open source, so
so I use.
I mean, you could use Plex. I'm pretty sure you can run Plex on a Raspberry Pi. I wouldn't. Run Plex.
So I thought Plex was the only game in town for that kind of thing. So it had.
There's actually quite a few options. The one I use is Jellyfin.
I remember you telling me about Jellyfin, actually. Of course, I'd forgot. I assumed it was Plex, and I just kind of blanked Jellyfin from my mind. Does it have a TV app?
Yes, it does, yeah.
Nice. So you just download... Yeah, so, but would that same setup I've proposed for my Linux distros?
Yes, yeah.
Sick.
It would. And, however, potentially, if you are attached to the Raspberry Pi idea...
Well, I like the Raspberry Pi idea because it was like, it saved running a full... If I could avoid it, I'd like to avoid having like a full PC running somewhere. But if there's benefits to having a full PC running somewhere, I could. But just for the sake of space.
Well, if you... Are you only wanting to be able to view the content on the TV? You're not planning to stream it to other devices?
I don't think we'd need to.
Because in that case... Probably the better option in terms of the user experience is that I can't remember the name of it, but you will definitely be able to find it by looking on the interwebs. There's basically a local media server that you can run on Raspberry Pi, where basically it gives you the same kind of functionality as Jellyfin, but it runs locally on the Raspberry Pi, and then the Raspberry Pi plugs directly into your TV and outputs video from HDMI and everything.
Also, you just like do the source change.
Yeah, and it would be probably a way better experience than running Android TV.
Yeah, I mean, that would like avoid having to run an app.
Yeah, because the problem with Android TV, in my experience, is most TVs that run it have woefully underpowered hardware for running Android TV, and it's laggy and buggy and just frustrating to use.
This TV is like, every time there's an update, I dread it because stuff gets laggier and laggier and...
Yeah. My mum and dad have a Sony Bravia that they got in, I want to say like 2016, 2017. So in TV terms, I feel like that's not that old still. I still think of it as the new TV.
Yeah, nobody's changing their TV like that. Well, I mean, people are. That's a problem.
Which is ridiculous. Yeah, but basically it got to the point last year where it was before last year, but my mum and dad just suffered in silence. Where it was unusable. Like it always had an issue where for some reason on Amazon Prime the audio would be slightly out of sync.
Oh, that's infuriating.
But intermittently. So they were still using their old Apple TV plugged into it, but only for Amazon Prime because you couldn't get a load of other streaming services on the Apple TV because it was before they added App Store to the Apple TV that generation. So it just had the ones that came preloaded.
A bit like the first iPod Touch, there's no App Store.
Yeah, apart from it, I think it was a 3rd gen Apple TV. But my solution was I bought them a Roku 4K Express.
I remember you talking about the Roku, yeah.
Yeah. However, I've since fallen out with Roku. I bought a second Roku, and then pretty much immediately after, Roku introduced a bullshit forced arbitration thing into their terms of service.
Oh, that's so weak.
Which it seems like everybody's doing these days. It's the new hotness.
It's the new
apart from Valve, who have actually removed it.
I saw that, yeah, because it was like and
they had it already, and they were like, "Oh, everyone hates this. They weren't getting any hot air for it at all. Other people were, and they just removed it.
Oh, Gaben, what a guy.
So, good guy Valve.
Good guy Gaben.
Learn from Valve. They do wise. Anyway, so I wouldn't... I mean, Roku's it, like, apart from that, Roku is sound. I'd still recommend them over any other streaming device. They're cheap and very capable, and they don't tie you to an Amazon account or an Apple account or a Google account or anything. They're
nice.
They're pretty decent, I would say. If you want a streaming device, that would always be my go-to.
But you think the Raspberry Pi with the local stuff on it would be the way to go?
I think it'd be worth a look.
Yeah.
I've not done it. But if you for just streaming local files, that'd be the way. If you were streaming from a streaming service such as Amazon Prime and stuff, that's when you start to run into issues with that. You can do it.
Oh no, we're not doing that. The TV has an app on it for them anyway, and it's not unbearably slow. It's just like slow to launch, but it's not like
unless you're using the app, it won't let you. In some cases, some streaming services just won't let you get 4K, and some won't even let you get 1080p.
And that's going to get worse.
You're using the app, even on PC.
Yeah, and that's going to get worse and worse, isn't it? Like
so if there isn't an app available for the platform, basically SOL.
Yeah, this would just literally be for files. So files stored on a drive.
I think I saw a video from a guy called Jeff Gerling.
Oh, I've watched it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he did a video on it.
Sweet.
Jeff.
So I could then because I only want to be able to view the locally stored Linux distros. That's all that I need really. It doesn't need I don't think it needs multiple devices, which is I'm guessing the thing with Jellyfin is that you can do multiple, you wanted to watch it on a phone, for example.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically your own personal streaming service.
Which I like the idea of that, but I'm struggling to see when we'd ever use the phone bit. So it feels like more complexity. How does ingest work on it? Do you have to do anything extra to do that versus like a jellyfin?
On the Raspberry Pi?
Yeah, versus like a jellyfin.
I don't think so. I think it's basically just it's basically the same. It just runs locally.
Nice. I mean, if I needed to, I could network the drive.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a bit of information on what the name of the software is that he actually uses.
Because I could always plug the drive into the I could always network the drive, and then I wouldn't.
Yeah, I think the Raspberry Pi is a good idea.
Yeah, because it's low power was the main draw for that.
Yeah,
and quiet. Like my PC's loud as hell.
Yeah, I mean my home server is what I run mine on, and I stream it to my laptop or the TV or my phone sometimes on my iPad, and I use it for music and stuff as well.
I think what I'll probably do is, because I feel like, is Jellyfin a fun project, or is it one of those projects that's painful?
It's a piece of piss. It's a piece of piss.
Because I might do Jellyfin just to see, and then I can always...
Yeah, the thing is, you could trial Jellyfin without buying any hardware, because you could just run it on your PC.
Oh, and then just have the PC switched on for a bit.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, yeah, because it just runs in a little system tray icon, and you can even access it from that PC. So you could load up an instance of it on your PC and just see what you think to the interface and everything.
Nice. And does Jellyfin run on the Raspberry Pi?
I believe so, yeah.
Nice. I wasn't sure if it had like a... Because what operating system's your server on nowadays? Ethan's got his home server, by the way.
Windows still at the moment, but I believe you can get a version of it that runs in Docker.
Oh, okay.
I think that's how you do it on a Raspberry Pi, which I think would be the same if you did Plex as well.
Yeah, like a Docker container.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's something that's officially supported or like it's the same, but again, that would be the same with Plex.
Yeah, you'd have to do that.
So
okay, Jellyfin. Maybe then I could try.
Well, like I say, if you're not intending to watch it on any devices other than the Raspberry Pi itself, then it makes sense to just use the Raspberry Pi as the media player.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, I just have to pray that it is running. I'm now starting to doubt that it runs on Android TV.
What?
No, the TV. I'm now starting to think, does it run on like LG's operating system?
Does it?
Oh no, it runs on WebOS. Oh no.
Have a look though, because you'd be surprised.
Okay, there might be a Jellyfin for WebOS.
WebOS is popular enough.
Yeah, okay. Apparently there is a Jellyfin release for WebOS.
Yeah.
Okay, so we could try it with Jellyfin. Run Jellyfin on my PC. See how that goes.
Yeah.
And then if Jellyfin works well, roll it out on a Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
Sweet. Oh, dude, that's awesome. I didn't even think of trying it on my PC, like, just as a test.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Oh. That's what I'm here for, aren't I?
Educational content right there.
Aren't I fantastic? Yeah. So
educational
so there we go.
Content.
That's that problem.
The problem was I wouldn't be able to watch random shit on YouTube. And
I think you would be able to, I think you'd be able to watch YouTube on the Raspberry Pi.
Well, I could watch YouTube on the TV, but it wouldn't be the same if it wasn't on my own home server. And if I couldn't watch random shit on YouTube, then how would anyone ever learn lessons like you did?
Yeah, like about
like how to pick up on a Segway,
like old ways of watching TV, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and also I totally didn't pick up on that Segway for the first half of it, so I feel called out rightfully, and I feel great shame.
To the topic you added.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway,
but I added it at last minute. To be fair, I added it at last minute. It was the one
so
that
it was
I was
fresh in your memory.
It's not. Nothing's fresh in my memory, Kieran. I'm an old
soul.
An old wrinkled young man.
Yeah, sorry. We did we did a little assessment of Ethan's soul before we began recording, and it can confirm it's old.
It's aged.
It's withered.
Yeah.
This could be its last go around.
Yeah. So this might I might be soulless by the next recording session. But
anyway, you were watching random shit on YouTube.
The reason I thought of this, you mentioned the old TGX,
THX.
TGX is a model of tractor unit from MAN. THX, like audio.
Guess who's been playing too
logo
much
that used
Euro
to
Truck
appear.
Sim?
Like I think most notably in my mind is at the beginning of the Star Wars trilogy. That's what I always think of when I hear the word THX. But that reminded me that I recently had a nostalgia hit last weekend when I went to help my grandpa install some new old tech in his home entertainment setup. And he as part of that, we would basically his DVD VHS player combo thing is dying, so he was swapping that out for another DVD player and another VHS player.
Oh yeah,
or
like
VCR.
two separate.
Yeah, two separate ones, and as part of that, because obviously it was stuff that was new to him, not new because it's basically impossible to get a VHS player that's new these days. I don't think
anyone makes one, right?
Full stop. Yeah, I imagine that. I feel like probably someone does for some obscure reason.
I bet it's for CCTV.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, people still make tape drives, but it's a different standard to VHS.
Yeah, and I feel like
because
the only thing people would still
tape drives are very much still in use for data backup.
The only thing I can think of for VCR is like legacy CCTV systems that just don't get replaced.
Yeah, or archive footage, maybe in like television stations.
Yeah, that's true. That might be a different standard. Anyway, so you needed a tape deck. Sorry, not a tape.
Yeah.
Deck,
so
VCR.
anyway, yeah. So he put in he put in an old DVD to test that the DVD player was and the that old
oh, you wouldn't steal a car.
Yeah, you wouldn't steal a car. You wouldn't steal a handbag. You wouldn't steal a policeman's helmet and take a shit in it.
And give it to his widow.
Yeah, give it to his grieving wife. Then steal it again. Piracy is crime.
Yeah.
That's what reminded me of this topic. But I was able to solve a problem due to watching none other than Technology Connections.
Oh, Alec.
Yeah.
What a
and
legend.
Possibly Techmoan.
Oh yeah, he likes his old hardware, doesn't he?
Yeah, because basically, I first came across this potential issue that I needed to help my grandpa with because he rang me and basically was asking me to help him order a SCART splitter, basically.
Oh, like 1 to 2.
Yeah, and
was that so you could have the like? I forget what they used to be used for.
Basically, so he could have his TV only has one SCART input.
Oh, so we'd have like the VCR and the DVD player. It's 2 inputs to the one SCART port.
Yeah. And for our audience outside of Europe, which is just as non-existent as our audience inside of Europe, SCART is an analog video standard that was used, I believe it was invented in France and then became widely adopted across Europe and was used for video recorders initially and then DVDs instead of the component video connectors that were more commonly used in the United States and other places, I believe. I'm not sure I think Japan has another standard. But it was developed as an easy to use alternative before that, the only way to get a video signal into a TV was to plug something into the aerial socket, which is obviously wildly jank. So yeah, I think SCART should have become more widely adopted. Personally, I think it was a much better standard than the RCA component thing because it's just one connector instead of 5 or 3, depending on which version you're using.
They are kind of hard to insert though.
Yes, but they are keyed.
They're keyed.
You can't insert them the wrong way.
But they're kind of like, I don't know, if you had like a not great cable, they felt a bit faffy to line up sometimes. Or because you have to push it so hard to like...
Yeah,
get the
that's true. And they don't always hold in place very well. But
yeah.
I'd still argue better than the painful experience that is accidentally plugging one of the video connections into the audio and subsequently hearing a horrible sound, or plugging the audio into the video and getting a horrible pattern on the screen. But anyway, yeah, so basically from watching some Tech Moan and watching some Alec from Technology Connections,
I think
was
I might know what the problem.
I'm pretty sure you can daisy chain SCART.
That wasn't what I thought it was going to be.
Because a lot of TVs back in the 90s would only have one SCART connector, but obviously with the advent of satellite television and some cable services as well in some parts of Europe, people started to have set-top boxes, or otherwise known as digital TV decoders, and then they would need to have more than one connection in order to connect that up to their TV, and also to be able to record TV still to a VHS tape.
Yeah, I remember being a child and needing to have like so we had like an early Freeview box when Freeview first launched, a DVD player and a VCR.
Yeah.
And it was like it was some weird thing we had where the digital box had two SCART outputs.
Yeah.
And then one, or like a SCART input and a SCART output, and the SCART input was connected to one of the other devices, like the DVD player.
Yeah, yeah.
And there was some kind of weirdness with the switching. I forget how that worked, but it was like faffy.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, for me, and not having to have a phone call from my grandparents every time they want to watch TV, it's really straightforward at least for the models that they've got. So it literally just goes, you have a SCART cable, goes from the DVD player into the VHS player, and then a SCART cable from the VHS player into the TV. And basically, if you haven't got a VHS tape playing in the thingy, the VHS recorder, and it's not like turned on into play mode, so basically if it's just in standby, it'll just pass through the signal.
Dang, that's how ours was set up when I was a child.
Yeah.
It was the same thing, yeah. Just with a Freeview box instead of a VCR, but yeah.
Yeah, and it worked. I was so happy when it it made my grandparents really happy as well. It's so simple, and I'm like, I would have not known that solution had I not spent many an hour watching retro tech videos on YouTube.
Oh,
so
Tech Moan,
it was finally useful.
Technology Connections, thank you. Also, I would argue that is more simple than a modern like multiple HDMI input for a non-techie user, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because imagine if it's like, because the amount of times when I used to do tech support calls and it would be like, the TV would be on the wrong HDMI input and it would be on an HDMI input that had no device plugged into it.
Yeah.
So it's like the screen would be black.
Our TV doesn't let you, if there's nothing plugged into the input, it doesn't let you select it.
Oh, that's kind of clever. I think 'cause it must be a more modern one because this TV was a little bit older. But like that used to be a really common cause of tech support issues where the complaint would be all the screen's black.
Yeah.
And then it would be trying to talk through how to set it to like, whereas just saying if you put a video in, I'm sure as well stuff used to auto switch.
Yeah.
Like you'd put in a video and it would switch to the VCR.
Yeah, I think technically HDMI supports that, but it doesn't.
Watch it be some kind of bullshit with standards where it's like, oh, we don't manufacture our TVs to one of that standard, and we don't make our DVD players perform.
Yeah, I bet it's one of those things where it's like, it's kind of like there was all that shit fuckery when the USB 4 standard came out. Where was it USB 4?
It's been a bunch of stuff
USB4
with USB.
where basically there's a ton of features that are optional.
Yeah.
Including basically every feature. It's USB 3.1 Gen 1. You know, when they've changed all the names, so it made sense, and now they've changed it.
Yeah.
It was HDMI. It's HDMI. They changed.
And it was like all that stuff that was optional.
Yeah. They basically renamed it. You had HDMI 2.0, HDMI 2.1, and then they renamed HDMI 2.0 to 2.1. But but it's still the same as 2.0, and now you have 2.1.
And there's no way to tell the connectors
And there's also
apart.
2.1, but with all the optional features that made it the original 2.1. It's just like,
yeah,
there is no reason why this could possibly have been done other than just pure cynical greed and capitalism, basically.
And
people wanted to be able to, just to confuse people so that they don't know what they're buying.
And to a user, it's like they all look identical.
Yeah.
Or if you're trying to do something, you have to faff about trying to look up which one your TV has, and then you get the AI overview and you don't trust it. And
I mean, USB is a complete fucking mess as well.
Oh, Type-C.
Yeah, because you've got USB 3, but with a Type-C connector. Then you've got USB 3.1. You've got USB 3.1 Gen 1, USB 3.1 Gen 2, USB 3.1 Gen 2 by 2, USB 3.2 by 2.
I mean, that's just like absurd.
And now USB 4, which is the same as Thunderbolt 4, but also not the same as Thunderbolt 4, and can have DisplayPort alt mode, which kind of operates the same as using Thunderbolt display, but also isn't always compatible with Thunderbolt display, and vice versa. And there's basically no way to know apart from looking up a review and finding someone who's tested it on the exact hardware that you're using. And it's just like, so do you remember that time when they were like, oh yeah, USB-C is going to make it way simpler?
Yeah.
It's actually more confusing than it ever has been now. Because also, and USB-C PD. So like, you can now have USB-C that can carry like up to 100 watts of power, but like there's no way to visually look at the cable and know whether it's rated for that.
Yeah, exactly. You can't.
I mean, it'll just not work because it has to negotiate. I'm not sure how it knows, but it just won't work. It won't actually let you send 100 watts over a cable that's only rated for 20 watts or whatever the standard is for phone charger.
I'm surprised it doesn't just do that. Can you imagine?
You know, something I've wanted to try for a while, because my Lenovo laptop uses USB-C on its power brick. I want to see what happens when if I plug the power brick into a phone.
Oh, because it's just
Type-C. But I haven't got any phones that I care little enough
that have a Type-C.
In case it went badly wrong.
Yeah, in case because it negotiates the voltage, right?
Yeah.
This is pure Scrabble checksum here. We have no clue what we're talking about.
Yeah, it doesn't just throw out, like, there is a handshake.
Yeah.
So, which is why when you plug your phone, you can sometimes, if you plug your phone into charge, it won't start charging, but if you restart your phone, then it starts charging. That's because the piece of software that handles that handshake has crashed or whatever is just not working properly.
Yeah.
So, there does actually have to be a handshake in order. And I think it provides like a certain level of, like a minimum level of power without a handshake occurring. So that if a device isn't a device that's battery powered that you're powering from it, obviously there needs to be some power to power it up in order to do the handshake. Or if you were charging a phone that was completely dead, for example, there needs to be some initial power output to get it to wake up enough to be able to do a handshake to negotiate the charge voltage and everything. So, Anyway, I think this topic's pretty much done.
Yeah, you've had a rant about USB. We've had a rant about that.
Make standards easy to understand, please.
Yeah, exactly. And let's go back to SCART.
Yeah.
Bring back the SCART.
No, let's not.
Because
the modern standards, if you actually get the right one for the right job that you want to do, if you manage to figure out which one you need, are astronomically better.
But they're not gigantic.
I'm a DisplayPort stan.
I'm a stan for the next phone that's going to give me a SCART lead on it.
Talking of phones that give you big things.
Yeah, I was thinking about that one, yeah. I mean, that has the room for it.
You don't currently have in a phone. I'm curious as to whether you've seen...
I've seen it.
Huawei's trifold phone, which is a misleading name because it actually has two folds.
Ethan's grabbed his talking points directly from Marquez.
By the same token, any other folding phone is a dual fold phone.
Well, the thing is, what are they? Like, I can understand why they call it the trifold phone though, because like if you call it the double fold, you think the users will think two screens because it's double. I don't think you think two folds.
Yeah, so yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense, but it's one of those like human brain malfunction.
Yeah,
things,
exactly.
It?
Yeah, it's like how.
Anyway, besides the slightly inaccurate naming scheme and the fact that it's made by Huawei, so over my dead body will I ever use that?
Well, we can't buy it. I don't think.
Near. No, we can't.
I think it's only
but even if we
China.
could, I would not be buying it. But anyway, the concept though.
What
do we think?
The concept's interesting. I think the coolest part for me was when it was shown folded up like a normal phone. It wasn't much thicker than a what are we going to call them, like a two fold phone, than a normal flip phone, like a folding phone.
Yeah,
that was what really
I
impressed
actually
me.
Wouldn't mind a thicker phone, to be honest.
Yeah, and like the fact that it wasn't like stupidly thick, I actually found really impressive. I was struggling a bit with like. I guess the advantage of it was it does when it was fully folded out, it looked like a tablet.
That is why I'm actually finally interested, because I've always thought with like the Z Fold, you know what I'm going to call it, the Z Fold. It sounds way better. The Z Fold from Samsung and like all the other ones. For me, the screen isn't big enough to actually replace my iPad.
For me, it was the aspect ratio, but for similar reasons, because it's like you fold out a folding phone and you've got like almost a square, but like what's that useful for? Like as a square, like it looks cool when you've got like just the app tray on it, but when you actually launch an app, it feels like a square aspect ratio isn't really, not a lot of stuff would be optimized for that unless we're going back to 4:3 video.
Yeah.
But like the folding out to like effectively like a closer to a 16:10, I guess it would be. I'm curious what the aspect ratio is when it's fully folded, but like it looks like a 16:10.
Yeah, which is what the iPad uses, and also I believe it's a 10.2-inch screen, which happens to be the screen size of the vanilla base iPad, such as the 8th gen iPad that I currently daily drive, I guess.
So that sounded really
would
cool.
be the right word.
Because like when you fold it out,
so it basically goes from being about the same size as my Pixel 6 Pro to being the same size as my iPad.
Yeah, and like stuff's more optimized for that. So like if you're watching video, there's not huge black bars. If you're looking at a website, they've bothered to optimize for that like aspect ratio, and it doesn't look all janky.
Yeah.
So that's and the some of the features where like you have two of the screens folded out look really cool, where you could have like both screens facing towards you for selfie mode.
Yeah.
Was clever.
Yeah. Yeah,
it seemed more useful than the single fold.
Yeah. I think that's where I'm at. My dream, I feel like we talked about this before, but my dream is to be able to replace my iPad, my phone, and my laptop with one device.
And that felt like it might be able to do the phone and tablet, right?
Yeah.
And like decently. And the fact that you could then fold it into something that wasn't so stupidly big that you could genuinely carry it around in your pocket.
I think it could happen. I think that the problem that I keep coming back to is just how fragile they are.
There's a fragility that would worry me.
Yeah, I mean, a smartphone, like a slab smartphone, is already not the most
non-fragile.
robust.
The fact they don't have this one, it'll come, but like the fact this one doesn't have any IP rating.
Yeah, I think that's pretty standard though. I think basically no folding phones on the market have a dust rating.
Some of the foldables do have other IP ratings though, right?
They have water.
Yeah.
So they'll be IPX. Something,
X.
or I can't remember whether the first number or the second number's the water rating.
No, I always forget that, but yeah.
Yeah.
I think
they're water
resistant.
resistant, but not dust resistant because of the hinge.
Yeah, exactly. That would worry me. The fragility would worry me. The fact that there's like a right and wrong way to fold it would worry me with like hinge life over time. I would just personally, I would not be able to resist playing with it because I've had a flip phone, and
yeah, absolutely,
constantly doing like the like, because I wouldn't be able to stop fidgeting with it.
I mean, I do that with my car keys.
Yeah, I do it. I get too frightened of them, like the thing's gonna fly off.
I've done it so much on mine that mine now no longer has quite the
not the same snap.
It's not got the spring in its step that it once had.
Yeah, so I'm too frightened to do it with car keys. But I know what you mean. Like that, I'd if I had that as my phone, I know that I would be like flipping it. I wouldn't do it when I first got it.
Yeah, it does. It does. Mine's just kind of like it doesn't snap into place. It's just kind of like a pathetic kind of slowly like rises.
Yeah, just barely.
Yeah, so I don't really do it on the car key anymore. But my current one is I can't really explain this super well, but I kind of like I'll hold my phone in like between my middle finger and my thumb at like the bottom of the screen, and then I like throw it up and let the weight of it spin it down.
Yeah.
I let the weight drop, and then I throw it up, catch it at the bottom of the screen, let the weight drop again, and I just do that in my
like cycle it in your hand.
Yeah, or I kind of flip it between my fingers like cards. It's the most fragile fidget spinner.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's become significantly harder as I flip it up as well. So it's become more and more difficult, but also more satisfying when you get it right.
Yeah.
The bigger my phone has got.
And also the more...
It seems like every upgrade I get, the phone gets bigger. Not because I want a bigger phone, just because every single time the phones are just bigger.
And then presumably the heavier it gets as well, with like a 3 folding one. So like the more risky it becomes. So I know that I'd absolutely destroy that hinge through just playing with it. Of like getting something trapped in there. I also am terrified about the fact that basically I don't think there's any way to put your own screen protector on a folding phone, right? You have to have the one that it comes with.
And it I don't know what the thing that I'm interested in the folding phones, but I don't know how they're ever going to make them not fragile.
Yeah, because like unless someone can make a screen protector that you can put on yourself.
But they need to find a material that can fold, but isn't soft.
Yeah, or like do the hinge in a different way. Like have it so that the screen itself. I don't know how you do that.
It's not so much the hinge that I worry about. It's more just like it is literally how. Basically, I mean, OLEDs and LCDs are very fragile, and they're protected by having a hard layer of glass in front of them. A folding phone doesn't have that. It has a necessarily flexible, flimsy, thin layer of plastic over it, and you can literally draw lines with your fingernail in it, like without putting any. All you have to do is lightly run it across it.
That's horrible. I would hate that.
Yeah, and so it damages very easily, and it'd be very easy to just like puncture it if with not too much force. If you just accidentally got like a tiny like little grain of something trapped in there.
Grain of sand in there. Close that up.
Yeah.
So I'd be terrified of that, and then that's the whole screen ruined because it's all one big screen.
They're so fragile.
Here's a question: why can they not just make 3 screens?
Because there'd be a gap between them.
But could you not have it hinged in such a way that when they folded out, they were like perfectly next to each other, like through tolerances? Like why could you not do it like that, and then each one could?
I don't know whether you can actually get screens that don't have any kind of border though.
Oh, because like a bezel.
Yeah, because they're basically how they've managed to get screens so thin is they do have a bezel, but it basically folds over. That's why the first like edgeless phones, I think that's the original reason why they kind of rolled them over the side of the phone, because it made that easier.
So you couldn't just like have 3 of them next to each other and then coordinate the screens with software.
I mean, you might be able to.
That would be the way that I would do it, like jankily. There's a reason why they don't, because there must be a reason it doesn't work.
It'd be very hard. I think it'd be harder to get a seamless.
It definitely wouldn't be as seamless because it would very much have a seam.
But I mean, Microsoft kind of did that with the Surface Duo.
Yeah, that kind of same idea, but like in a
but
phone.
That did have like very noticeable bezels, and also interestingly, since we last recorded, Microsoft has EOL'd the Surface Duo after just 2 generations, and are basically turning both of them, that were quite expensive phones, by the way, into paperweights. They're not getting any updates.
Oh, that's horrible. That's like something that a startup does.
They're not getting any ongoing support for like the multi-apps. And basically, because it's only them that did that form factor of device, Android doesn't support it natively. So basically, it's just going to become, even though it's not running Windows Phone, it's going to become another Lumia.
That's so bad. That's like something that's like something if you bought like a nothing phone and then you stop getting updates like sooner than they said you would. Yeah. Or like one of the OnePlus phones that they like shafted.
In the same way that you should never center your workflow around a Google service, you should never buy hardware from a software company.
Yeah. Like like the friggin' there's been various like didn't Facebook make a phone?
Yes, I believe they did. It was quite short-lived.
Yeah, and the Fire phone.
Yeah, there was the Fire phone, again, very short. I don't even know if that ever actually made it past the prototype.
The Fire phone was definitely released, I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was ridiculously cheap. Or maybe I'm thinking of the tablet.
Yeah, there's the Fire tablets are a thing.
Still. Yeah, they still exist because they make them for like kids and stuff. Here's a question about the folding phones.
Kids and grands.
Where does it end? How many folds how many folds is too many? Like, could you make like if you imagine, you know, the Lenovo Flex laptops, you know how they can fold flat?
Yeah.
If you had like 8 phones, and then you could fold, like, you know how those folding ordnance survey maps?
I was trying to think of what, like, my go-to was a newspaper, but actually, the old like an old A to Z map.
Yeah, like the ones that are really difficult to fold. There's a certain way to do it to get it back into the original size, like the front and the back where they should be.
I think that would be too far.
If you imagine them but with screens and you had like 16 phones, and then you could fold them out to something that's like a 32-inch TV, then you could replace the TV as well. Can you imagine how cool that would be though? If it, like someone
I think it'd be cool for the first 5 minutes, and then it'd be immensely frustrating.
Like if you were Samsung, would you not make that as like a concept art piece and then like take it to a trade show?
They do have a TV that rolls into its stand.
Yeah, but this would be like, this has to fold down to a phone. So it's like
I wish they'd bring back the concept of rollable phones.
Yeah, why did they not continue? Was it because of the touchscreen?
I don't think they ever made it past the prototype. I really liked that idea.
Be careful what you wish for with that, because I used to think that the idea of having like a laser keyboard was cool when I was a child.
No haptic feedback.
Yeah. Also, they won't work for shit because your fingers occlude. Your fingers
Oh yeah.
So they're trash. They're absolute garbage. But I like the idea that you'd have like a keyboard that you could just project anywhere.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, they got killed for.
Well, you can actually buy them.
Well, yeah, you can still buy them, but then they came back in the friggin' rabbit pin. Not the rabbit, the AI pin, the humane pin, because that projects it onto your hand.
Yeah, but they used to be in every single iPhone concept video. Do you remember when those used to be cool on YouTube?
Oh yeah, people would like make their own fake ones.
Do you remember when the iPhone 5 came out and there was all those ones where it was just like someone would pull what looked like an iPhone 5 out of a bag, but then it would just keep going.
This is like what I'm talking about. It's like you'd have like a folding phone and you'd unfold it, and then you keep unfolding it, and it would just keep going and going and unfolding and unfolding. Yeah. And then you'd like hang it on the wall, and then you'd have it as like a TV.
I'm a fan of having folding screens. I think that's definitely.
What if you had one that could unfold into like a monitor size? This is the same phone, by the way, as my Ordnance Survey one. So you unfold it, it's like a desktop monitor size, and then you unfold more phone and more screen from the bottom, which then becomes your keyboard.
No.
Do you see what I mean? So it's like an L shape.
I see what you mean, and I hate it. Because that is the LG or Lenovo Fold Yoga, whatever.
Yeah, but it's made entirely of glass screens.
Yeah, but that is what that is, isn't it?
Is it? Are they both? Yeah, but
in terms of a laptop, it's literally a laptop, but it doesn't. Instead of a keyboard, it has the display just flows around the hinge. And...
But they don't fold all the way down to the size of a phone.
Oh no.
So it's like you have one of them, but it's like 2 inches thick when it's phone sized. The one serious point I do have about the folding
going
phone,
back
just
to the 90s.
Just yeah, exactly. Just to close out the folding phone is what do you think of the battery life? Because I feel like that would absolutely kill it for you when you're talking about it being a tablet replacement.
Yeah, I'd want it to be thicker.
Yeah, like because when it was in, I think when all the screens were on, and it was in like the quote unquote tablet mode, the battery life was pretty poor. Like it was nowhere near like any tablet on the market. It was like unacceptable for a tablet, basically.
The thing is, I'm not sure whether even having the screen. More I think about, I'm not even sure whether I even want it, because to be honest, the only reason that I have an iPad is because I already have an iPad.
Like if it broke, you wouldn't replace it.
I bought it. I bought it as an experiment, and it's worth more to me to keep it than I could get for it selling it. So I've kept it.
But
that's why I've got an iPad.
You're not like, oh, this is really important.
No, like it's too big to carry around with me for just quickly checking stuff, and the screen is too small, and it doesn't have a keyboard, and it doesn't have the ability to run software that would allow it to replace my laptop. So it kind of occupies this awkward middle ground where it's basically a big phone that you can't carry around and also can't make phone calls.
Yeah, of course.
And it's also a slightly smaller laptop. But if you want to do anything other than want to type anything longer than a quick Google search, it's really annoying to use.
So it would be like you'd have that.
So basically, I use it for watching YouTube in bed.
Yeah, which
that's what I
realistically.
That's what I use it for.
If it broke, you could just.
Which I obviously only do when I'm at home, so I don't need it to fold down into my pocket.
No, and then would you want it to be like way more expensive, way more fragile, way worse battery life? Because if they get the battery life in a phone to the point where it can fold out to a tablet and be acceptable, then the battery life of the tablets will also then be able to be made, like it'll never catch up, right?
Yeah, I think I just have guilt at having so many different devices.
Yeah, I guess it's like but then the fragility.
The fragility of life.
The fragility of that little tablet.
Yeah.
Versus the fragility of that folding.
I mean, in terms of like computing devices that I actually use on a regular basis, I've got my PC or my desktop. I've got my phone. I've got my iPad, and I've got a laptop. That feels like too many devices.
And your server
for one person. I'm talking end user devices.
Oh, okay, yeah, like I'm talking devices serviced by my server.
Yeah.
I don't know though, because like
I'm talking client devices.
If you use them for like their individual purposes, like I can see the need. I can see the need for having them. Like, I don't know. I can imagine.
I mean, my iPad is way better than my laptop for watching, like, just watching videos, because its battery life is way better for a start. Like my laptop lasts like 3 to 4 hours on a charge, whether my iPad lasts, at the level I use it, usually a good 3 or 4 days in between charges. So it's got and it's got no fans. It doesn't get hot. It's I don't have to have a cable plugged into it while I'm using it. I can lie on my side in bed fairly easily. I can kind of make myself as comfortable as I want to be. while I'm using it. Whether a laptop kind of has to stay on your lap and it's kind of heavy and unwieldy and blah blah blah. So,
I kind of argue as well. It's like not necessarily like a compute device limitation, but more like kind of total devices, if you know what I mean. Because like the answer wouldn't be combining them. Like if you're like, oh, I've got too many devices because I've got a coffee maker, a toaster, and a microwave. Your solution wouldn't be like, oh, we'll just combine them all into one big. I'll just put all of those devices in my fridge.
That is a good point.
So that like, oh, I put my bread in the top of my fridge instead of having a separate toaster.
I mean, that would be an efficient use of energy. To be fair, they radiate a fair amount of heat out the back. So
oh my god, we stumbled on like, yeah, because they to make cold you need to make heat. So like, could you
Why
not?
Has no one done this?
Yeah, because then you could just have like toaster.
Probably
because
it doesn't actually generate enough heat.
Not enough heat, but if you make it cold enough,
I think it just warm the bread.
But if you make the fridge cold enough on the inside, and then you run it for less time in the day, then you have like the world's coldest fridge that also can toast bread.
Yeah, but there's actually certain foods that you don't want to store below a certain temperature because that also ruins them.
Well, then
like, not in terms of it would give you food poisoning, more just in terms of it just ruins the food.
Well, then you're using it wrong. You need to adjust your user behavior such that you don't buy.
Only eat frozen food.
Well, if you're a valley
and
type
toast,
and all you have is Huel and toast.
Frozen Huel.
frozen Huel. And
there we go.
And toast.
There's our episode title. Frozen Huel on toast.
It would be like the return of the Froyo trend.
Oh god.
And also you don't buy a lot of like crap from like the amount of like terrible electronic devices that people buy from like Temu and Amazon and various other places. Like they're way more something to feel guilty about than if you just have a phone, a tablet, and a laptop that you use interchangeably.
Yeah,
I would argue.
Have one phone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, most people would. It's only the only reason you have so many phones is because most people would have already put most of them back to Mother Earth Gaia.
Yeah, I've got 3 phones on my desk right now.
Yeah, but like
I only use one of them.
But like a normal person would have thrown away most of them by now, right? Like they if they weren't on your desk right now.
I bought 2 of them in the last 3 months.
Yeah, but again, if you hadn't have bought them in the last 3 months, they would have been in the landfill.
One of them probably would have.
One of them would have been in the landfill. The other one would be about to go in the landfill.
The other one should be in the landfill.
Yeah, you'll never put them in the landfill though. So in a way,
probably should.
In a way, you're helping the planet.
Not the landfill. I should probably recycle them.
And when you recycle them into like a toaster, the circle will be complete.
I think that's about the only thing my Sony Xperia might actually be useful for because it overheats in like 5 seconds. Well, the camera overheats as soon as you open it. Basically.
Yeah, all you'd have to do is try and take some video.
You don't even have to do that. You literally just like. You turn it on and you open the camera app and it's like camera's overheated, turning off, closing camera to cool down. I'm like, I literally just opened it. How could that possibly be the case?
How is it already? It's like my body heat's radiated into it, and now it's.
I feel like it must be like a dodgy sensor or something.
Yeah.
For the temperature sensor, but I might fix it one day.
I mean, you've got a YouTube channel for fixing stuff.
Yep. Yeah.
That's separate to this one. Subscribe to youtube.com/ what's it called? Tablonga.
At Tablonga.
Yes.
TABL Longa.
No.
Or just search Tech a Bit Longer.
It's at TAB Longer.
Yeah. Yeah, you can also go to techabitlonger.com or techabitlonger.co.uk and you'll get error 404 pages. But I do own those domains.
You'll get error 404 because...
They just don't point to anything.
because Kieran recommended a host that wasn't able to... forward the domain to a dedicated URL, so until he even sets up his hosting and sticks a website on there, the domain won't resolve.
Never trust Kieran. That's the lesson that I've still not learned.
But you maybe
never
will.
Trust a Kieran recommendation.
But you maybe will if you keep listening to this podcast.
The mistake I made is because you've actually used the service. If you'd recommended me a service that you haven't used, then it would have been fine.
Yeah, you would have ignored the recommendation and you would have moved on with your life.
Well, no, because you've given me 2 recommendations that you'd not actually like. You recommended Yahtzee Crowshaw's. We'll save
the universe for food.
Yeah, or destroy the galaxy for cash, or whichever one's the first one.
Yeah.
And you'd not read it, but they were great.
Oh, that's
good. And what was the other thing you recommended?
Oh, what was it?
I called you out for it. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, because you were like, if you'd known. So you had Gabe Newell on the thumbnail, didn't you? Was that anything to do with it?
That was it. It was the remake of Half-Life 1.
Oh, yeah. Well, I knew that would be good.
Did you, though?
Yeah.
Well, that's what you claim. You never played it, though.
Well, no, but I knew in my heart.
That was if you had played it and then you'd recommended it to me, I wouldn't have played it. That's the lesson I've learned.
Exactly.
You can only make recommendations that are good if you've actually got no experience with them.
If I've never used them.
It's a really weird superpower, but it does seem to be yours.
Oh no, that means I can never recommend this podcast.
Well, you've not. Have you ever listened to it as a third party?
Well, I guess as a third party, technically not.
Yeah, exactly. So I think you can.
So I can recommend our podcast, and I can recommend that you like, comment, subscribe, and
if you were to check it out on another platform other to the one that you're listening to now, delete as applicable: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Amazon Music, Audible, Deezer, YouTube Music, and you can find a limited list of links to places where you can listen to it by going to podcasters.spotify.com/pod/show/scrambled-checksum. And you can also find us on YouTube, youtube.com/@scrambled-checksum. All one word.
That was nicely done, dude.
I don't think it was. I stumbled over it like 5 times.
You got through it.
It was a CTA. CTA has commenced. CTA complete.
CTA's concluded. No sponsor slot. No ad read.
Yeah. After podcast checklist.
Yep.
Complete.
And we'll see you into not uploaded to OneDrive. Tick.
Yeah, we'll see you in Scramble.
No, we're not doing this again. No, we're sacking that off.
I'm gonna do it every single time. Every time.
If you're going to, this will be the last episode. I can't listen to that anymore.
I can't make any promises.
We'll see you in 2 weeks, another one, maybe.
Yeah, Kieran's editing this one, so blame him for any issues. Anyway, bye-bye!
Oh, there's a clip of the audio there.